going on, guys? This is Bruce Mattson, your host of the show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football, the show that looks at all things fantasy, from redraft to dynasty to DFS to Campus Canton and all the things in between. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, tell your homies, get the notifications so you don't miss a show. Today's very important. We're going to be talking about my must-draft tight ends. This isn't a ranking. This isn't a play on value like I like this guy over this guy. These are guys that I've been drafting routinely in my drafts due to value, due to me liking their situations, their skill set, whatever have it. They're my guys. I'm sharing that information with you, and those are my must-draft tight ends right now in May of this offseason. Just for clarity, I'm going to be using ADP from Underdog Fantasy, the best ball platform on the entire internet. The World Wide Web. Underdog Fantasy is the place to go. If you're interested in joining some links there, click the link down below in my description. Use Metric Scout as the promo code, and you'll be set up. If you make a deposit of $10 or more, you'll get $25 in credit to go along with it so you can join some drafts. It's a good deal. I suggest you hit that up. But let's get this started. So my first tight end that I must have is Travis Kelsey. Tight end of Chiefs. Everybody must have him. He's got an ADP of 7.1 on Underdog Fantasy. He is the TE1. And the thing about this, and you gotta have a top tight end in fantasy, or you gotta pay down and be in a position where you can stream tight end. Travis Kelsey gives me a premier player at the most scarce position in all fantasy sports, which is the tight end position. The difference between a back end tight end 1 and a back end tight end 2 from a week to week basis is usually like 5 to 8 fantasy points. It's laughable if you look at things from a week to week. There are some weeks where like the TE12, TE10, 11, they're in single digits. And this is in PPR. So you want someone who's consistent, stable, to give you that positional edge. Travis Kelsey gives you that. Last year, it was the TE1. Very stable production last year. He had 3 top 5 weeks at the position. 5 weeks where he was the TE1. That is about as good as stable as you can get. He led all TEs with 1,175 air yards. He also had a 25% target share, which is one of the tops among all tight ends. Also had a 24% share of the air yards. Imagine Patrick Mahomes slinging it deep all game, and he's getting 24% of that. He led all tight ends with 11 touchdowns. That was tied with Robert Tonyan, but when you combine those touchdowns with the volume, the workload, the catches and receptions, it's just icing on the cake. I also want to advocate this. I'm also game for paying up for George Kittle, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, the top guys, because they're also going to give you top-tier production. I'm just really into Travis Kelsey, and he's kind of in that range where you got to make a pick between him and one of the top running backs. If I'm drafting in the back half of the first round, 7th spot, or even later, and he's there, I'm going to think really strong about drafting him because I know I'm going to be in the top part of that second round where I can get one of the last of the Mohicans of the running back so I can stack tight end, running back, or go running back, whatever you want to do. But Travis Kelsey is a premier option in the back half, middle portion of that first round, and I'm gobbling him up in a lot of drafts. I did that last year. I'm going to do that this year, and it's a strong plan for me. Going more towards the middle rounds, a tight end that I really like is Mike Gaseki. And he's being drafted as TE11 with an ADP of 118.6. So he's a late round guy. Usually everyone has their tight end before he's selected on average. Tight end 11. So some guys already have their 2 TDs and you're still waiting to get yours. Mike Gaseki is a good guy to get. Last year, he finished as the tight end 6. He had 4 top 5 weeks, 16% target share, 943 air yards, almost hit that 1,000-yard barrier, and a 23% share of the air yards. Tua is going to be the quarterback, and the drop-off from his production from Ryan Fitzpatrick last year was non-existent. If anything, maybe a shade more of workload. 5.8 targets with Tua, 5.5 targets with Fitzmagic, 3.7 receptions with Tua, 3.3 receptions with Fitzmagic. So you've got a very close split there. What that tells me is, really, no matter who's at quarterback, they're going to emphasize the tight end a little bit. 16% target share. Not tremendously great, but pretty decent for a tight end. You know he's being used in the offense. And 16% target share along with 943 air yards means he's getting targeted a little bit downfield. So his targets are mattering more for him. And Tua, with some time in this offseason to gel with the offense, is going to be good for him to get some chemistry with Gaseki, which I like. I'm all up on Gaseki. I like him because of his value, because of his upside, and really, he should be drafted higher than this. He was the tight end 6 last year. He's being drafted as the tight end 11. Nothing has changed. If anything, it might be even more promising. He is going into another year of development. I think he's got a good chance to blossom here in 2021. My next guy, he's actually being drafted a spot ahead of Gaseki. I'm going Gaseki over him. It's really a one-for-one scenario. I like them both. He's being drafted as the tight end 10. That's Logan Thomas. When we look at last year's stats for him, he was the tight end 8, 6 tight end 1 weeks. 3 of those were in the top 5. He did have a 19% target share, 766 air yards, and 21% share of the air yards. So he was fed pretty good last year. Fitzpatrick, as we saw from Mike Gesicki's numbers, he was averaging 5.5 targets per game to Mike Gesicki last year. Rolling back to him, that we can see something similar over to Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas, highly athletic tight end prospect, sharing the field with Terry McLaurin. Fitzmagic loves to chuck up them YOLO balls, and this could be a match made in heaven. And you're paying the TE10 price tag, 10th tight end off the board. It's cheap. You can do better by paying down and getting guys you can play the waiver wire with, or you can go with a Logan Thomas type dude who you know is going to get some targets, who you know is going to get some red zone looks, and you know get some air yards from Fitzmagic. So there's not much risks there. I like Logan Thomas. I like Mike Gesicki. I like Travis Kelsey. And the tight end position is a hard position to juggle because usually there's only like 3 to 5 tight ends who are even worth rostering on any given week. And the rest of them are just meh. From the tight end like 7 to the tight end 22, there's not much of a drop off between them. Here are some guys that we can look at in drafts. And I'm going to bump out some more content about this tight end class for 2021 because it's a very interesting group. There's a lot of strategies we can implement, so be on the lookout for that coming your way. But I want to thank you for watching the show, sticking along with me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Ring the bell, tell your homies, and I'll catch you next time.